All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Average Joe's Fishing Show.
Yeah, we're back.
What time of year is it, Lyle?
It's like 3 days before trout opener.
In Algonquin. So, we wanted to give you guys a little rundown on what you're going to need to catch trout in Algonquin Park. We're going to do an in-depth review of our fishing gear, what we bring with us in order to catch mainly brook trout. I guess this video is focused on brook trout. That's kind of our thing. The average fisherman in Algonquin is probably not going to need what we have. We go for the purpose of fishing. Like, our end goal is to always get somewhere to fish. We're not going to just camp.
No, I go to fish. So, without further ado,
Let's break it down. We're going to start with our tackle.
for the big ones, like this.
That big. So, in our terminal tackle boxes,
I got bobbers, sinkers, hook swivels. I got long shank hooks and replaceable treble hooks. I also have a little set of clippers for line and different things, and I have a little bag of split rings. Now, I carry this year first time because when I went on a trip last summer, I was actually doing pretty well and I had my split rings open up. I didn't have any replaceable ones in the bush. So I got probably a dozen in here of the size 2 and 3s, and that's perfect. So
now in my terminal tackle for springtime fishing, I'm going to have an assortment of these 1/2 inch bobbers. You can use whatever kind of bobber you'd like. This is the kind I prefer, and that's going to be for the Wayne rig. So these bobbers are the right size for me to be able to sink with a 5/8 ounce, I believe these are, bell sinker. So the bell sinkers are critical for me in spring tackle boxes, as well as the bobbers. And then I'm going to have an assortment of hooks. Now these hooks are generally going to be like bait holder hooks, a few different sizes, not too big. And then in this tray I have my long shank hooks, which are going to be for gang trolls or trolling behind like a Lake Clear wobbler or something like that. Something you want to put a worm on and troll behind a spoon. A few different regular sinkers. You never know if you want to get a little bit of extra depth. So, oh yeah, and swivels. We had a guy actually yesterday asking about swivels.
So my personal preference for swivels is this type right here. Not sure what they're called, but I picked them up at Canadian Tire. These are good because under pressure, under a heavy load, they're not going to open. The way that they're designed and how they clip, there's no chance for them to open unless you bend the whole thing or break it. Lyle's preferred type of swivel is this kind.
So it's pretty much the same idea. You'll notice with the old style swivels, when they're just basically a straight wire that clips underneath, that'll pull out. Like you get that, a nicer fish and you're fighting them for a while. Those swivels kind of aren't really made for that. They're kind of cheaper made. Definitely pick up some heavier duty swivels, something that's not going to pull open.
And something that's small, because a lot of people will generally tie their lures directly onto the line, but if you're throwing a bunch of different lures in a day and you don't want to waste a bunch of time cutting line and retying, a swivel is really handy, but get the smallest size you can. That's pretty much the cover of our terminal tackle.
Small little box, don't need to overdo it. Handful of everything and you're laughing.
Now in my terminal tackle box, I also have a few different types of spoons. I just had empty space in it, so I'm not going to leave empty slots. I have a bunch of different types of weaver grabbers. So these are 3/8 ounce. I have a bunch of different patterns, whether it be the perch pattern or the straight gold or copper, gold, silver. I also have in this box a couple EGBs in different sizes, and also some little Cleos. So I also brought a small box of spinners. Generally with spinners, we're not going to use them too much unless we're shore fishing. They're good for like using from the campsite, or if you're casting a stream or moving water, they work good. I have all different types of spinners in here. Rooster tails work good. Mepses in the Black Furies, the Aglias, those different types. I've got a few Panther Martins. I've got a lot of blue foxes in all different colors, whether it be gold, red, silver, orange, some brighter colors, and also some just basic metallic colors. It depends. From day to day, they can bite on different colors. So sometimes one might work and one might not. So that covers spinners. Oh yeah, and also to mention, we haven't got our hands on them yet. They're in the mail right now on the way here, but Williams has just come out with a new model of spinner. They're called Vortexes. We won't be able to show them because we don't have our hands. We don't have our hands on them yet, but we are going to be throwing those quite a bit, I think, this spring. Really looking forward to them. They have some awesome colors, some awesome patterns. So if you haven't seen them yet, they are in stores. They're in Cabela's. They're in sale. All the big stores. So check them out, the Vortexes, and grab a couple because I think they're going to be deadly. I'm really looking forward to getting our hands on those.
So I just have a small little tray of an assortment of lures, and I'll just kind of run through them real quick. I like to cover all the water columns. So we already went through our terminal tackle with some sinkers and stuff, but just to give you a rundown, I have an assortment of Williams.
We have a big assortment of Williams. This
Yes.
is all Williams.
We have lots of Williams. So I have probably 8 or 10 of my kind of go-tos. One of them being a gold and silver ridgeback, and then a W30 gold hammered wobbler. I also have a gold hammered bully spoon, bigger profile, almost an ounce, gets you a little deeper. I also have some Nipagons and some moose looks.
Bunch of the Nipagons.
So these are some of the go-to Williams spoons that I put in my box. Never leave home without them. You'll see in our videos that we do really well with Williams and never leave without them. So spoons is going to be kind of your 6 to 8 feet and less. So that's your shallow water.
Unless it's a bully. The bullies do run deep.
Sorry, the bully will go deeper, which is nice. It's a bigger profile. Maybe you're flatlining for lake trout or you're summer fishing for specks.
We did well last late May, a May long weekend with bully spoons actually, because that was kind of the time last year where the speckles were starting to transition to the deeper water, and the bully spoons were right in that range where it was like 10 to 15 feet depending on your speed that they were cruising at.
So we've got some bigger Williams spoons here, some big W60 wobblers, Williams whitefish. We've got, as Lyle mentioned, the Nipagons in lots of different colors. Now, the hooks on the Nipagons are a little large for the size that they come, so if you want to downsize the hooks, I would recommend it. Not a bad idea. We've got some Ridgebacks, which are awesome. They work great winter and summer, but we have caught plenty of fish on them, a bunch of different colors.
We have 3 different assortments of moose looks. I believe that's the 1/4, 1/6, and 1/8 size, I believe they are, which these are some awesome spoons. Trolling with a little bit of sinker to get it down. These are really awesome. Next we have the wobblers in the W30 and W40 size.
And 20.
And 20, even smaller yet. Something we really noticed that played a big part in summer fishing too is the bait fish is bigger, so sometimes you want to go bigger, but when they're finicky, you really got to downsize.
Go small.
Go small. And in our earlier video that we put out probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, I downsized and actually outfished Brendan, which happens pretty much every time. But it just goes to show that downsizing is sometimes the ticket, and you need to take advantage of that.
One of our favorite colors, which we're getting a bunch more of this year because we lost most of them from using them so much, is this orange, green, and copper color lure. They make them in the Ridgebacks, the wobblers, which is this one, a W40, and the bully spoons. They make them in the bullies as well. So this is an awesome, it's called the Envy. So if you're looking for a really good color pattern, the Envy color did very well for us. So we have a bunch of the Quicksilvers, which are these lures here, and also the Winnie spoons. So these are a very light flutter spoon, good for trolling. They're not going to get you a lot of depth, but you can always add weight, and they have a very good action to them. The Winnies have a very nice S shape.
This year, Williams has also come out with the Williams Whitefish S, which we're getting our hands on. A bunch of them.
Yeah.
They're still coming in the mail, but we're really looking forward to using those. They look sweet. So the Williams Whitefish S's are going to be awesome lures. I'm really
yeah.
looking forward to them. They look like they're going to have a really good action. And so we'll show you guys those as the season goes when we're using them and when we're catching fish on them. But that pretty much covers our basis for Williams. Lots of Williams spoons. This is probably a lot of overkill, and we're probably honestly going to go out and use 5 or 6 of the lures throughout a trip. But it's nice to have the bases covered, like we said, and know that we have enough for whatever kind of bite they're doing.
One thing we did notice over the last season with Williams is the Nipigon is phenomenal, and if there's one recommendation for Williams is to make it a little bit heavier.
Yeah, a little bit heavier. Yeah, because they have a really good action.
Unreal action, but they're really light. Like a 2.5-inch spoon like this is like, I'm not sure if it says it doesn't say how much weight it is, but it's probably like less than a quarter, maybe a quarter ounce. So it'd be nice if they were a little heavier, but still one of the best spoons that they make.
Yeah, we caught a lot of fish on the Nipigons last year.
So when the spoons aren't really working, you want something erratic to get the fish's attention. I'll throw these Rapalas either in the matte finish or the metallic finish.
If I'm trolling and I want to get a little bit deeper, same idea, just some little Rapala crankbaits. These will go down about 8 or 10 feet. So I'm still in the same depth as the spoons, but a different presentation. Another thing that we're going to experiment this year, something you can cast a long ways and makes a lot of noise.
Yeah, I got a few.
Is a lipless crankbait. So I got a clack and shad.
Lots of noise.
Yeah, lots of noise.
And those types of lures, being lipless, you can cast them and jig them. So if it's a calm day or you're anchored and you get on the fish, you can locate them. You can cast right into where those fish are and just pull that off bottom, up and down and get it in the right depth, or even jig them. Like if you can find the fish suspended in the summertime, you can jig right on top of them with these. If fish are finicky, downsize. That's the first thing to go to, is downsizing if you're having a hard time getting bites, because a lot of the times they want to feed, or maybe they don't want to feed, but a smaller size might invoke that bite and turn them on to eating.
If you can trigger a small fish to bite, you'll trigger a big fish to bite because of the competition factor. That big fish doesn't want that little one to eat that minnow, and if that's your little tiny spoon or your little tiny jig or whatever, you could hammer big ones on the smallest lures.
Yeah, and trout are schooling fish, so generally where you find one, you're going to find 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a bunch, right?
50, 100.
Well, in our video last fall with them stacked up, there was probably 50 in a little area half the size of this room. So if you can find them stacked up like that, it's going to be a heyday for competition. They're going to want to battle each other to get that bait, right? They're going to want to be the first one to get their lips on it. Now, I don't think you have any of these, but something that has worked wonders for me is gang trolls. So this one in specific is a Lake Clear gang troll under the same umbrella as Williams. They worked awesome for me last year, gold and silver. They also make a kind of a mixed type of lure where they'll have silver and gold on the same one. They'll have copper and silver. They'll have copper and gold. So we got probably a dozen different color patterns of them in the 2-leaf and 3-leaf sizes. So this is a 3-leaf, which is the bigger one. But behind these lures, you're going to trail it with about 12 to 18 inches of line, and then a long shank hook and a dew worm. One thing to mention about these is if you're not planning to keep fish, I would recommend not using them, because if you have a worm on, the fish are a lot more keen on swallowing it. Even if you're trolling and you're moving, they're going to engulf that bait. And I noticed that a lot last year, where these lures are almost like a harvesting lure, where if you're having a tough time getting a bite and you're counting on getting one for dinner, I would put something like this on.
Even with spoons, we've ran into it where we're catching a lot and even releasing, and we'll notice, mortality somewhere 1 or 2 out of 50 will die. So it's something to consider, that even with spoons and hooking them in a good area in the side of the mouth and releasing them, they can still die because you're putting stress on that fish. Trout are pretty sensitive, so it's important to do your best if you're not going to planning on harvesting them, to treat them with respect, because if you kill too many with the gang trolls, for example.
And the time of year is crucial too. Like if you're catching them in the summer, the mortality rate is going to go through the roof because of that warm water. You want to get the fish in as fast as you can and get them back down as fast as you can, because they're going to die from that heat exhaustion, right? In the springtime, you have a lot more leniency with being able to handle them in the net, keep them in the net and let them recoup, but you don't get that in the summer, so you have to be very fast with them.
That's the hardware for fishing in the park.
You're also going to want some extra line. Now I'm running this year 10-pound test mono.
8-pound mono.
So this year we're targeting big fish. That's our goal. We're not going for numbers. We're going for low numbers and high size. We want quality over quantity. So yeah, I up to 10 pounds. Anywhere from 6 to 10 pound, you're going to be fine. I really don't think that the little bit of thickness in the line makes a difference.
No, 6-pound is fine. You play the fish out a little bit more, no big deal. 8-pound, maybe a happy medium. 10-pound, if you're, like Brendan said, we're going to target bigger fish. No problem upsizing.
I'm not chancing it.
No.
If I have a 10-pounder on the end of my line,
yeah,
I don't want to lose them because my line was 6 pounds. Electrical tape is something also. If you have to re-spool, you're going to want a little bit of tape to tape it onto the reel so that you can have a proper functioning drag.
So I guess what Brendan's getting at is when you use braid, if you don't know already, it will slip when you pull the drag out. So running even just halfway around the spool, a little piece of electrical tape gives it some grip so that the braid isn't right on the steel of the reel, and it will give it some grip so that when you pull the drag, it's doing what it's supposed to do and it doesn't slip. With mono or fluoro, it doesn't really seem to happen so much, but now that I've got in the habit of it, I just do it all the time. It takes 2 seconds.
So another very important thing that we bring into the park is worms. We will never go anywhere in the park unless we're in a lake with special regs where you can't have worms. There's only a handful. So if you're going in the park, check your regs, make sure you know which lakes you can and can't have them, because some lakes have no organic baits. But we will bring in a box like this. You can buy this at pretty much any tackle store. It's just a foam box with a kind of a bungee cord lid. I covered it in tape just to help strengthen it, because when you're going around sticks or you have it in your backpack and something's poking it, you're more likely to break the foam. So I covered it in some good heavy duty tape. And in this box, if you put worm bedding, you could fit probably 150 worms in this fairly easily. And if you keep them cool, they're going to last your whole trip, especially in the springtime when it is cool. You'll have no problem keeping those worms alive. So worms is very critical for us, for shore fishing, for using gang trolls, even tipping a spoon sometimes if they're being finicky and you want to try something different. Just a little chunk of worm might make that difference, right?
Rapids, hooking a worm, just cast it out.
Yeah, moving water is, a hook and a worm is by far your best bait in moving water.
Yeah.
Pliers is a must. I couldn't find mine before we started filming, but we both always have a set of pliers on us. You want to keep them out. Don't have them buried in the bottom of your bag. Keep them at your feet, because when you get a fish, you want to be able to unhook that fish as quickly as possible. You don't want to prolong having it in the net, right? So always have a pair of pliers, very handy and very smart to have. And some with cutters, you can help. Yep. You can pinch your barbs.
These have cutters on them.
Yeah, you could cut a hook if you get one in your finger. You could pinch the barbs off. You can even probably cut line with that.
Yep, for sure. Something I'll always carry too is just a little knife. This is a Havlon. Bring in half a dozen extra blades, whether you're gutting fish, cutting line. You know,
always have a knife.
Need to have a piece of rope shorter, or I mean, you could try to make it longer with a knife, but it might not work well.
Yeah.
But yeah, a knife is so important in the backcountry. You just never know when or where you're going to need one.
What else is important to have in your pocket? You forgot this a few times.
A lighter. Have a lighter.
Always have a lighter and a knife.
10 lighters.
Yeah, I'll normally keep a lighter in my backpack. I'll keep one in my pocket.
One in every tackle box.
In a plastic bag. You want to keep them dry. And then actually, if they do happen to get wet, if all of your gear gets wet and it's pouring rain, I actually have a couple ferro rods as well that are good for you. You can submerge them in the water, take them out, and still start a fire.
Just wait it out.
Yeah, or wait it out and freeze.
Yeah.
So when it comes to rods are very important. What length of rod are you going to look for, Lyle, for speckles? Like, what's your ideal length and action?
I would say if you're going to buy one, you should go with something in like a mid 7-foot range. This is the Shimano Claris with the Sedona reel. It's 7 foot on the nose. It's a medium light action. I like 7 foot, especially in the medium light. Gives you some play at the end of the rod, and gives you some good ability to cast and some backbone too if you get a bigger fish. I probably wouldn't go much less than that unless you're doing some creek fishing or you have like a specific purpose for that rod. I think that's just a good all-round safe bet.
Yeah, my 2 rods I have here are, so we just got some new ones in, I should mention that. Shimano just sent us a couple new rods. So we have the new Sensolite, which is this one right here, right?
So the Sensolite I have with the Next Av reel. So it's a full new setup for me running it this year. It is an 8-foot light. So it's super whippy action. I just have some 8-pound test on this. And so far I'm in love with this already. For trolling lighter spoons in the spring, the flicker minnow will be ideal for this. You can't go too heavy of a bait on this because it is a light rod, but something lighter, you know, 1/4 ounce, 3/8 ounce and less, this is going to be the ticket. I think especially trolling, which is kind of what we geared our rods towards in our order was trolling, because you need that flexibility in the rod to really load up and set the hook for you. Especially if you're in the back of the canoe, you can't. By the time you get the rod out from your legs and set the hook, it's kind of too late, in the sense that if you really let the rod load right up and take the weight of that fish, he'll hook himself. And yeah, this Sensolite is super light, super sensitive, and
they're gonna work well.
Oh yeah, it's a rod for the books for sure.
So we both got the same setup with the Sensolites, the 7-foot light. The 8-foot light with the Nexav 2500 reel. Now you're pretty much always going to want to have a 2500 size reel or whatever, like other brands I think have different numbers, 2000s.
Yeah.
You're going to want that one size bigger than the 1000 reel or the 500. Like a 500 for the Shimanos or the 1000s are going to be made for something like creek fishing or winter fishing, where you're not going to need that big reel. But the 2 that I have here are a couple of my older ones. I have the Sedona 2500 with a 6.5 foot scimitar rod, and that is a medium light action. And then the other rod I have is an old school one. So this is a 2500 Sonora. I don't think they even make those anymore, but that just shows you the durability of Shimano. They last a long time. They're built to last. They work great. The drag is still awesome on it. It works like a dream. And I have that one geared up with a 6'6" as well, scimitar, and that is the old version of the scimitar. So we've got Nexav reels this year, Sedona reels, and then this old Sonora is what we're running. So we have 2 of the Sedona reels, 2 of the Nexavs. You want to show off your other rod there that you got?
Sure. So this is, like Brendan said, the Nexav reel on both my new rods. This is the Shimano Compre. It's an 8.6 medium. So trolling in the summer or casting with some bigger baits, handling some bigger fish, this is the rod I'm going to be targeting with that. I'm already in love with both these new rods. It's got a great cork back, plastic rubber bottom on it so you're not busting the cork off. Definitely made for some bigger fish. And the long rods I found trolling, like I said earlier, are kind of important in the sense that they just help you fight the fish and keep them pinned.
They load it up well. Like they're gonna essentially hook the fish for you when you're moving, because if you don't have that rod in your hand, like Lyle said, if you're the guy in the back, generally me, you're gonna want that longer rod to load up for you and hook the fish and give you that extra opportunity to actually catch it. Now the shorter rods, like I have here, the 6 foot, 6'6" range, that's gonna be more for like a casting purpose. Casting from your campsite, throwing spoons, throwing spinners, something where you're actively fishing, you're not trolling. Then you can get away with that shorter size rod. They also are a lot easier to cast when you're inshore if you have overhanging brush and brush all around you. You don't want to have that extra 2 feet of rod where you could break off the tip or it just kind of gets in the way, right? You want something more compact. So depending on your type of fishing, if you're planning to fish from shore more, I would go on the shorter range, but anything between like 6 feet and 8.5 feet is what you're going to want to look for depending on your scenario and how you're fishing. Another good thing that we bring is these twist ties. You can buy these at like Canadian Tire, Sports Check, Atmosphere. I'm sure Cabela's and Bass Pro and that have them as well. They're awesome for just tying your rods together, quick and easy. You just slap them on. It's like a great big twist tie, essentially. And they're durable, they last a long time. We also have other ones that we use to strap it into the inside of the canoe. So when we are portaging, you can actually just strap that to your yoke and to your seat, and then all your rods are inside the canoe. You don't have to worry about them getting caught on brush. It just makes everything more neat and tidy and less chance for things to break. And that's something that I really need to hone in on myself, is I'm deadly with rods. Probably the most important piece of gear you can have, and I've forgot this several times in videos. Last year I did once as well, is a net. You're gonna want something with a very deep basket, something that you can lay across the gunnels of your canoe and the fish can still be in the water. You know, with a deeper basket like this, the fish can be sitting down a foot and a half in the water, recuperating while you're, you know, getting everything organized and getting the fish unhooked and such. This is also a telescopic rod.
Mesh.
Oh yeah, so you're gonna want a rubber dipped or completely rubber mesh. If you have like a thread net, it's going to make a mess. It's gonna make everything so much worse. So if you're getting a net, invest a little bit of extra money and get the rubber dipped. So many tangled messes are going to be prevented, and it's just gonna save the fish, it's gonna save you time, it's gonna make everything easier and cleaner and just a lot more efficient. And then another thing that helps with these is that they're telescopic.
Is it locked in?
Oh, it just hasn't been moved in a while. So the telescopic part of the net helps for, you know, if your buddy in the front of the canoe's 16 feet long, if you have a 3 foot long net, he's gonna have a hard time reaching to get your fish. So having that option to be able to extend that net and get the fish for your buddy is going to greatly increase your odds as well and prevent you from losing fish. And then last but not least, something that we have done that I don't know if a lot of people do it, we learned this from Darren, our buddy, is a measuring tape that you can just mark right on your paddle. So as you can see, we have this measured from the end of the paddle along the paddle itself with different measurements. If you want to see how big the fish is, we start ours at 18 inches because if they're under 18, it's kind of a cookie cutter size, we're gonna let it go. But 18 to 26 this year is what I just remarked it, because like I said, we're going for big ones.
That's scary.
That is scary, but you essentially, you want a trout to be the length of the paddle itself, and that's a 20 incher, like right there is 20 inches. So that's what we're shooting for all the time in the park is 20. We've only hit one in 4 years, but this is the year where that's gonna change.
Yeah, handful of 19s, countless 18s.
What's our goal for 20s?
20 over 20.
We're going for 20 over 20 this year.
And I've never caught one.
And I've caught one. Yeah. So we're being very ambitious.
Yeah.
Realistically, I'm hoping for like 6 over the season. But that's the goal we've set. The very unrealistic, unachievable goal is 20 over 20. So that pretty much covers our fishing gear from top to bottom, what we're going to bring. Obviously, you're going to need a canoe or a kayak. You're going to need your paddle. You're going to need a life jacket and all your other stuff, your safety kit and such. Rope is another good thing to bring. You're going to want to bring about, 20, 30, 40 feet of rope, have it wrapped up. And with a mesh bag, we didn't bring one right now to show you, but a mesh bag will help to fill up with some rocks, tie it onto your end of your rope, and then tie it onto the canoe. That acts as an anchor. You don't have to bring weight besides the rope in the bag. Just grab a rock from the bush or from the shoreline, and then if it is a wavy day and you happen to get on fish and you want to stay in one area, you can anchor yourself. And yeah, that pretty much covers all of our fishing gear, our essential fishing gear for the park.
Yep.
Depending on the season, it's going to change a little bit. In the summertime, we might be running our lead core. We didn't bring that today to show you. But for the most part, we figured out that we can pretty much get away with this all seasons now. Just add a little bit of weight or change your lures to get deeper.
That's speckle fishing Algonquin in a nutshell.
Yeah, so good luck to everybody this year. We're going to be getting out this weekend for a couple day trips in the park. Camping isn't open yet, so we're looking forward to that to start. We've got one really big trip planned, middle of May. Gonna hammer some tanks. And yeah, so let us know if there's anything that you find is an essential piece of gear that we may have forgotten, or something we just don't know about that you think is crucial to have in your terminal tackle, or in your lures, or whatever, in your rods. Let us know your 2 cents on it, because we're always open to learning. We're not perfect, we're just average Joes.
Yep, ain't that the truth.
So, thanks for watching, everybody. Good luck out there this season. 2025 Algonquin brook trout is just around the corner. Until next time, I'm Brennan.
And I'm Lyle.
And we are the Average Joes. Don't forget to subscribe.